Hello everyone, I am Gail Matthews and this is my internship presentation. So to begin, this is my background slide as to why I chose strength and conditioning, sports performance to kind of be my choice of internship. And so like I stated, I want to get into strength and conditioning, and so there's no better way to kind of get that experience than to integrate myself into the sports performance environment. And so when we talk about the second bullet, clearly in order to get into strength and conditioning, you're going to need your CSCS. And so typically when you take, exercise 455, they recommend that you kind of go right after, because that class is the exact curriculum of what the test is to be. And so, but with graduation coming up and things like that, it does decrease that time from 3 to 6 months to 3 to 6 weeks. And so that'll be a good amount of time to prepare me, just because we have the internship alongside having a degree in the field as well. And then with me being an athlete, it is incredibly helpful that I already get to be in the field every single day, subconsciously. And so that is something that, one, benefits me, and two, it's super cool, just to be able to be in the environment, because there's not a whole ton of opportunity in terms of getting to be an athlete in the field as well. And so clearly my goal throughout all of this was to pass my exam and then apply for jobs after graduation. So to begin, this is my internship site. And so M1 Source Performance, Central Phoenix off of 7th Street, just south of Camelback. And so my purpose to go here and why I chose this place in particular was because I actually trained with their owner and founder of this place when I was in middle school, all the way up until I committed to play at GCU for volleyball. And so I've been in this field for a very long time. And so I think growing up, same thing we said, I've always gained a benefit from it, but getting to actually be the one to coach and to be able to give that information is something I've always wanted to do, just because being in the field does give you a lot of knowledge already, but being able to be certified and confident in the information that you are giving to your clients, I feel is a super cool thing that, not everyone gets to do. So just kind of any, additional info that's not incredibly important, but same thing, kind of that connection of these people that I've been working with, and so they're younger, and so, 33 and 28, they have a background in Olympic weightlifting, and so that is something that is also not incredibly common, and usually there's one or two, but for them to both be competing in Olympic weightlifting is super cool. I know it's something that is more common now than it is ever before. However, being able to teach that in the sports performance realm and not just as itself, and how this all benefits sports in general. And so they have a super big background in both collegiate athletics, middle and high school athletics, and so getting into sports such as they mostly work with football, baseball, and basketball. And so with me being comfortable with volleyball, kind of reaching outside my horizon of comfort with working with other sports is something that was another goal of mine, but that'll be later discussed in this presentation. So typical day. So obviously there's a photo of what the facility does look like. It's pretty narrow. There's a lot of equipment in there, but like I said, having everything super compact tends to, you kind of create a bond with everyone around you. And so instead of being super separated and isolated from one another, it forces you to create conversation. And yes, you do share a lot of your equipment with other people. And so being able to, be confident in speaking with others and asking for assistance and, sharing racks, sharing weights, stuff like that happens very often in this facility. And so being able to communicate with one another is one of the biggest things in this facility itself. And so, but, typical days worth of tasks. And so always cleaning equipment, always wiping down, re-racking, stacking, things like that. And because we do work with middle school, high school, we do get the kids that come back from college during breaks and stuff like that. We get a lot of professionals that are in their off season, but because it's mainly adolescents that come in, we find ourselves to be constantly cleaning up equipment, just because they haven't really grasped the concept yet that after you are done with your equipment, you have to put it away before you move on to your next superset. And so that is something that it gives me something to do. So I'm constantly talking to kids and, making connections with parents. And some of them have jobs that do benefit us in some sort. And it's nice to create that networking. But even just like kids, like I'm from Central Phoenix, and obviously this is located in Central Phoenix, but being able to make that a connection and who knows who, and just like mutual networking throughout the city is a cool thing, I feel like. And so, but on the other hand, I do work with younger ones, so older ones I kind of just watch them and spot them, but the younger ones I do actually contribute to the program designs, and so that's something that I really enjoy doing. But lastly, we somewhat talk about research. This is pretty much once or twice a week. It's not super common, but they'll analyze the research and they kind of tell me like what to look for. And so it's a nice little heads up every couple of days or so that I'll be able to get some input in that sense. So these are 4 of my 8 learning goals. So clearly the ones that are bolder are the ones that have been met, but clearly just expanding my knowledge on strength and conditioning. So I think that being an athlete has already given me a lot of that advantage. However, finally taking classes that have led me up to this point of finalizing, I wouldn't say finalizing my knowledge, but being able to prepare myself for the exam is and continues to be essential for my learning, and how to integrate that into client experience. And so the biggest thing for me is grasping the concept is simple, but being able to provide that information to my clients that I work with, and kind of building that trust within them, kind of making sure that they know they can trust me with information, not just giving them just comebacks and things like that, and affirmation, giving them feedback that is needed for their performance. And so working more with supplementation and how that affects training. And so they obviously, the 2 owners that work with the facility, go through supplementation for each of their clients if wanted. And so luckily I've been able to kind of go through the conversations that have been gone between client to trainer, and so that has been met. So I have a better grasp on which supplementation helps with honestly just certain effects of the body. That's kind of just the reality of it. And then gaining confidence. And so I think this is a lot of people's goals, but it's something that I do struggle with, and it is significantly improved over the course of the semester. And so same thing, being able to grasp that information and provide it directly to my client without hesitating that they are questioning my knowledge or questioning my ability to do common tasks that involve, lifting and things like that. And so kind of just allowing myself to grow in the environment without kind of freaking out a little bit. So second set of goals, clearly I've met all these goals, which is super beneficial, but we talk about, just get a better grasp on what I want to do in the future. So that's kind of what the first bullet point talks about. And I feel like this is another one that everyone kind of subconsciously thinks of. And so this is something that I want to do, but this wasn't the first thing I wanted to do when I came to GCU and when I came into this degree program. And so I think now I'm more confident in what I want to do than I was when I started, which is exactly why I met that goal. And then within that, how to improve program designs. And so program designs are specialized for everyone, and everyone knows that. So making sure that it is essential that we make it to where they are getting their most benefit out of it. And so networking and vulnerability are 2 big things. And so, like I said earlier, making sure that we are communicating with people and kind of building that trust through everything. And then lastly, vulnerability. So allowing myself to make mistakes and take criticism. And so I think as an athlete, I don't allow myself to mess up. And so I think messing up is just something that happens to everyone, and I just have to get used to it. And so changes, I only changed 1 goal just because we rarely use, sport-related technology. But yeah, just working, and then I changed my goal to just working with other sports, and so being able to be familiar with the sports that I haven't worked with or haven't been familiar with. And then this one is my interest. So what I learned is how to specifically work with college athletes, and These are two more specific things that I've worked on, and then slight knee valgus and vertical jump training. So that's the one that I found completely ironic, just because when we learn knee valgus, obviously increased risk of injury and things along those lines, but making sure that we want to avoid as much as we can. However, it is going to occur no matter what, subconsciously. So, and the importance of a hack squat. And so I only found this interesting just because it's not super common to use a hack squat when you talk about source performance. Usually in Olympic lifting, to focus on stability, and it works well with lower extremities, and so your quads, hamstrings, and hip flexors. It actually puts less pressure on joints and tendons, which I found super unfamiliar because it actually seemed to be the exact opposite. But actually, when we broke down research, that is what we found. And then lastly, I did find it to be a very successful internship, and I did feel like I definitely improved in the environment that I want to work in, and so I feel more, I guess you could say, free in a way, just because I feel like I have the ability to communicate better than I did before with both trainers and clients, and then being able to grasp knowledge within research and just within program designs and within clients, and then working with other populations. And so I typically want to work with college athletes, but I mean, we have professional athletes, and then we have, I mean, my youngest client is 9 years old, and so there's a huge margin of, ages that I work with, and so kind of just being familiar with that. But that concludes my presentation, but thank you for watching my internship video.